What makes a project manager an effective leader? First of all, why should you even care about being a leader as a project manager? Really, it is the one thing that is going to help you in your career trajectory. So I'm going to share with you three things that you can do. Before I get to those three things, I want to share an experience I had speaking at a project management professional development day in Puerto Rico. This was back in 2018. I was the closing keynote speaker. And I also gave 2 additional topics on leadership. These were sold out. People were standing room only, and they weren't able to get into the room. This shows you how important this topic is to a lot of project managers. Now, after I gave my closing keynote speech, Jim Snyder, who is one of the original founding members of the Project Management Institute 52 years ago, sat at my table. He happened to be the opening keynote speaker. And he said to me, most project managers don't struggle with the system, with the process, with the technical aspects of being a project manager. Where they mostly struggle is with the leadership aspects. And that's what I want to talk to you about now. So this is a great example of the demand for leadership traits and leadership skills with project managers. I just happened to speak yesterday in Lebanon. Of course, I was doing that virtually. We had 55 people enroll for that. The day before, I was speaking in Bulgaria, where we had 168 project managers. And they were so intrigued with the leadership topic because for most project managers, they understand that this is an area where they can really take their career to the next level. They understand the systems, they understand the process, they understand the planning phases, they understand scope and risk. But where they struggle is how do you get people to buy in, your stakeholders, your team members? How do you get that without really authority? How do you influence people when you don't have that position title? So leadership is so much more than just a title or a position. It is how you are able to connect to and influence others, to get on board, to do the work that you need them to do. And for many project managers, they struggle with this. And so they're hungry to learn those skills that will take their career to the next level. So in order to make sure that you have access to all great content that I'm going to be sharing with you on leadership and developing your career to the next level, subscribe to our channel today and you'll get access to all kinds of great content. A project manager has to be expert in 3 areas. You have to be an expert in the technical side. Really understanding that is a foundation to your success, of course. The next part is business strategy, and the last part is leadership. So what I'm going to be talking to you about now are 3 things that you can do to improve your leadership skills. Number 1, communication. This is so important. Understand what your natural style of communication is. What are you good at? What are you comfortable with? What comes natural to you? And what is a challenge for you? Where do you stumble in communication? Oftentimes, project managers are under time pressures. You have project-driven deadlines, and that pressure can cause you to not be as effective at communication as you otherwise might be. Now, there's many types of communication. Obviously, there's spoken communication, there's written communication, and then there's visual communication. Do you know how to write effective emails? Or under pressure, are you just getting to the point and maybe not being aware of the impact you're having on your reader? Or in spoken communication, do you get so focused on the task that you're not aware of how you're impacting your listener? This is a great opportunity for you to be able to slow down and understand where you have room to improve your communication to get the absolute best results. Number 2, conflict resolution. That's a big part of leadership in project management. There are going to be issues. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be differences of opinion. And how you deal with that conflict is going to be so important to your success as a leader and a project manager. A lot of project managers struggle with the idea of conflict. They hear conflict and they want to run the other way. They avoid conflict. And many of us think that conflict is bad, when in fact, conflict can be your great friend. Now, there's many different types of conflict, and there's a range and a spectrum of conflict. You can have conflict avoidance on one end and warfare on the other. Now, obviously, we don't want to be on the right side where we're in warfare. But there is a constructive level of conflict where there's a creative tension, where there's the ability to disagree about ideas, and it's called cognitive conflict. And that's where you might discuss different approaches, different ideas, and different perspectives. There's also affective conflict, where that gets very personal. And that's where we think that conflict is bad, because when we start getting personal, obviously that's a destructive type of conflict. So understand the difference. Understand that when somebody disagrees with you, it's not about them or you. It gets to be about your ideas. It gets to be about the process. And when you get really good at managing conflict, this will help take your career to a whole nother level. The third leadership skill is team building. Get really good at understanding how the team is working together. Obviously, you're going to have people in all sorts of different departments that have to come together to make a project successful. How do you get them to work together? How do you get them to understand each other's perspective? That also relates to the previous suggestion of conflict, because when you have people that have different departments, they have different priorities and different objectives. But when you are good at team building, you can help bring this team together, increase the trust of all of the participants as well as the stakeholders. Take time to spend time with each other, whether that means going to lunch, talking about ideas, looking for opportunities to get to know each other at a deeper level than just at work. So much of teamwork is about trust, being able to trust each other. And oftentimes we're so busy and so focused on getting the task done that we don't take the time to generate the foundation of trust that leads to effective teamwork. So being able to operate under pressure requires a great deal of emotional intelligence. You get to understand what's happening to your brain when you're under pressure, and that requires self-awareness. Empathy is also being able to understand the needs of others, where they're coming from, and it's so much greater than that. If you increase your empathy and your emotional intelligence, you will increase your success at being a leader as a project manager. If you want to learn more about increasing your emotional intelligence and your empathy, watch my videos, How to Develop Empathy as a Leader and How to Improve Emotional Intelligence in the Workplace. So go ahead and click one of these videos now.